10 mils. What up, farm? How you going? We are out here at Onan. We've got the bromar full of Commodus barley, and we're just putting it into the air seeder. Over the past, I don't know what it would be, like 10 days, something like that, we've had 40 or so mils of rain, and it's actually too wet to get the truck out here. The little baby truck, it's too wet to get it out here. Thankfully we got the big truck out here full of fertilizer before it rained. So we're having to bring the barley out in the bromar behind the ute, and that's working pretty good. But there's more rain coming on the weekend, like Saturday, Sunday. Today's Wednesday, and we've got to get these last 2 paddocks of barley sprayed and sowed before then. So that's what we're working on. Just going to start the truck so that we can tip it up and put some fertilizer in. Alright, the nitro's filled up. We're going to go spraying, but a very, very pesky mouse, or maybe multiple mice, have got into the cabin in here, and it stinks. I'm disappointed, but I don't know where they've got in, and yeah. We must just have hungry mice out here that just love to get into everything. But anyway, if you have any ideas of getting mice out without baiting them so they die in here, but getting them out and then getting the smell out, please comment below, because I'd like to know. Dad's going out sowing. I've got a bit done. Yeah. There's a little bit of rain on the windscreen, but just some spots. Getting a little bit done, which is good. Closer to the end of sowing. Got the spraying finished. Now we're just going to go and check on Dad, see how he's getting on. Alright, so it turned out that Dad wasn't going too well. He pulled up to do a crank test when I pulled up. And the fertilizer meter box, so this is the thing that takes the constant chain speed and adjusts the rate and then puts it out into the meter roller, which is here at the right speed. It was making a clunking noise, and when we looked at it, it wasn't spinning fast enough. On the old box, we had trouble with these one year. Both of them went at the same time, actually. And we replaced some parts in them. I think they're the same. We may be able to get a box off of there to keep going, but this one's no good. It's only putting the output speed over there at half of what it should be. We checked the calibration, it was only going out 20 kilos or something, so which is less than the 50 kilos that it should have been. So we're going to pull it off and fix it. We'll do something different because it's not working how it is. Alright, so we got it all off, and Dad reminded me that on the old box it drives on a square, not a round, to the meter roller. So we're going to pull all this off, and then we'll go and have a look at the old box and see if we can see if it's interchangeable or something. And but yeah, it'll need new bearings, and we just need to open it up and have a look.
Oh wow. That must be a clutch too.
It must be a clutch, but it mustn't be working.
It might only be in there.
No, it seemed... Nah, it's deeper than that.
Yeah, because that.
It's still crunchy in there.
Oh yeah.
Alright, we're back out here again. I went on the FlexiCoil parts catalogue last night, had a look. Or was it this morning actually? And last night we had all this pulled off, and there's a ring underneath this cog. That's machined on there. And this, what it means is this shaft that starts here and goes through to there has to come out that way. Anyway, what we've decided is we just need to start pulling locking collars off, taking bolts out and getting as much apart as we can, and then hope we can put it all back together when the time comes.
Lovely.
Someone else before us has done good work. Now that one is the problem, like that's where we think the problem will be, in that clutch. The needle bearings in here, so that could be why that one's tight. That won't come out because there's something in there.
Like there's arms on there.
Yeah.
Goes walk backwards. And
Yeah. So that one won't come out. Alright, so we've got it to a point where we can actually... Oh, thought we could have a look in there. We can sort of have a look in there. Just all looks rusty.
Just got to pull it off that.
Off that one. So that's promising. Everything looks how it should. Nothing's broken. It will just be the needle bearings in here that are not playing the game. I think that's where it's tight, because that shaft was hard to hit out as well. So alright, we got one of the arms out, or whatever you call this thing. There's a couple of sus looking needles in there and a little bit of damage in the cage just down there. I'd say that's what it'll be. How these things work pretty much is they can go freely one way and they grip the other. So this one pulls this way like that, and because the other one's down going the opposite way, while this one's going back to its first position, the other one's driving that shaft. So it's taking a backwards and forwards motion and turning it into a constant turning motion. When we pulled them apart before, we installed them both the same way, which meant that it only drove half as fast as what it should have. It drove start stop like that. But with one up and one down, it should drive stop, and then the other one will drive stop, drive stop, drive stop, drive stop, like that. Clear as mud, you would say. Alright, we filled in some time, cut up a little bit of firewood, sawed and split some firewood. Thanks Dad for helping with that. Right now we're on our way to Bordertown pick up the bearings that will have come in, or hopefully will have come in, and a couple other bits while I'm over there. Then we'll come back and put it all back together. Got the bearings down there, got some pipe and some fittings for a couple of projects I'm gonna do. I've got a new filter for the sprayer because the Overwatch is getting stuck in the old one. New Micromatic fitting because the old one's getting a bit clunky, and my goodness are they expensive. I don't know if you can guess, but that's $610 right there. Anyway, even got Chelsea a bunch of flowers. Yeah, good job. No, I don't have rubber boots on like you.
Me do.
You do.
I'll do it then.
Do it again, do it again. Yeah. Alright, we made it back. We've started changing over the bearings. Is that one a new one or an old one, Dad? That's an old one.
That's an old one.
An old one, but it looks pretty new.
Yeah. That's...
So we think that someone has been in here repairing all this not too long ago. Yeah. Which is good news. Anyway, hopefully it's a long time before we have to get back into it. Alright, so we've got it back together, got the new needle bearings in. You want to hold this? How it works is this moves backwards and forwards like this. When this one pulls, it's this one that's turning the shaft, and when it pushes, it's that back one that's turning the shaft. And as I'm moving my hand backwards and forwards, you'll see around here that is moving in a constant motion. And if this is only moving slowly backwards and forwards, it's not moving very fast. But if it's moving backwards and forwards really fast, it speeds up. I know I said yesterday it's a silly design, but it is pretty clever.
Do you see himself? Hey, you're right, my dad.
Oh, thanks.
Do you want marshmallows?
Oh, I'd love a marshmallow. So it's all fixed and back together. It's just got to go back on the machine now.
Do you want to share this one, Alex? That's yummy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here we go. Back on. All working. Alright, back out at the Cedar, and I've dropped Dad off. He's going to go sowing. When it dries off enough, I will go spraying. Yeah, we've got a dam down here that has got some water in it. We're going to set it up so that the tank, when the tank is full, it will overflow into the dam, and yeah, then we'll have more secure water back at the back here. Alright, so I drilled my hole in the tank. Here's my cutout. Put my outlet in using my trusty piece of wire, which we can pull that out now. Now we gotta put some other stuff on. Alright, this is what I've done. Outlet, elbow, tap to poly. So turn that on. The poly comes down here. This used to tee off. One went that way to that trough just down there. One went that way to that trough down there. So the trough down there You'll see the dam just behind it. We're gonna disconnect that trough and run poly down to that dam. So the T down here, the one going that way, is capped off, and I joined into that pipe so it comes from here. So the idea being that there's a float in here that comes from the windmill 6.5 k's down the front, or maybe it's 6 k's, something like that. It runs quite slowly. So what happens is when the tank fills up, the float turns off. But what we want to do is, before the float turns off, we want the water to come out down here and to that dam. And what that will mean is there's still most of the tank to water that trough, and we'll be able to get a dam filled up that's a long way from our bore right down the back. Because the thing with dams is they don't go dry overnight like a trough can. If your trough cracks in half or something like that, it can just drain your tank, drain your whole system, and all of your sheep are left without water. But a dam, a hole in the ground that's full of water, you've got reliable water there. You've got a reliable water source, I should say. So that's our idea doing this. It's caught plenty of water from the rain, so we're going to take that opportunity and fill it up while we can. So the bore's got a head start already, and yeah, it comes in very slowly here, so it won't run out today because I've got some spraying to do. I'll take more water out, but hopefully by next week it'll be running into the dam. This is the dam that we're going to fill up, and this is a worrying sign. Dad's come back. Let's find out what's wrong. Alright, so there's this clutch type thing on here. We pulled the electronics off. It's to turn the fertilizer and wheat off, or grain off separately. It never worked for us. But I mustn't have tightened it up. The bolt on the end has come out. Now it's all, the threads all chewed up in there. It's just a pain. It doesn't work. We didn't use it. So what we're going to do is go and get the generator and welder, and we're going to weld this cog onto that shaft so that it's solid. I know what you're thinking, wouldn't that bearing and lock collar need to fit over there? No, there's a notch in there, not a notch, something. It couldn't come off this way anyway, but if we weld it on there, we'll never have any trouble with that clutch slipping, and we don't need it. So I think that'll be a good result. While Dad's gone to get the welder and generator, I've found where the pipe went for this trough, and I'm going to dig a channel and put the pipe in to the dam. That's dumb. It's going to take ages to do that. I think I'll try it with some horsepower. This is the one I choose. Well, not really sure how I ever thought that I was going to dig that by hand. That would have taken a very long time. Alright, the pipe's in, covered up. We got Dad fixed up. He's going. No, it's not an accident that I didn't show you after fixing it. I did a shoddy job of welding it. It's going to hold together, but it doesn't look very good. I just didn't want you to have to see that, so that's why. I'm going to move my tractor out of the paddock now, then I'll load up the nitro and finish this paddock. Then after that I've got the other paddock to do the double knock, the pre-emergent on. Yeah, then we just got to get it all sown before the rain comes tomorrow, that is. And they're talking it up, so yeah. Anyway, we'll get to it. It's a perfect year to hook that dam up as well, because that paddock's going to be cropped. We're putting barley in there. We don't need the trough throughout the year for the sheep to drink from. So it doesn't matter if the trough goes dry, because the dam will be filling up. Anyway, so we got loaded up and we're spraying out here. We've done a bit of a trial. We had one Enviro of Overwatch left over. We've not put Overwatch out here before. We had enough Overwatch for the paddock over there and for 60 hectares in this paddock. So we put it on 60 hectares in here, which left 24 that would not have Overwatch. Now I did the Overwatch the other day, and then today this is just Treflan, and we'll see what difference it is. But what is cool is I've loaded a reference map. Oh, it's not gonna do it. That's gonna do it. So there's Dad, he's that blue one. But the reference map is what I sprayed the other day. And this blue stuff is what I'm spraying today. Now the auto shut off is even working with the reference map that I loaded from the other day. And I think that is just incredibly cool, because they're two different events which don't normally cross over in the GPS world, sorta. And it's able to auto shut off on that, which I think is really cool. So anyway, I'm just geeking out about that. Didn't know that it did that. Just hit the right buttons when I loaded it up and it's working, which just goes to show how simple and straightforward this screen is, I think. So yeah, well done, Ag Leader, I like it. All right, we finished the spraying on the barley. We haven't done any spraying ready for the lucerne that is getting planted, but that won't be planted for a while. Yeah, finished the spraying. Dad's still sowing. I am going to jump on the loader tractor and go out into that paddock that we just sprayed, because there's a lot of big rocks out there. Or big rocks for me, not big rocks in some standards. And I'm going to pick up some, because it's highly likely that the barley won't grow very tall, because it never does grow very tall out here, and I do not want to pick them up with the header. So that's what we're going to do. Not massive, but you don't want it in the header. It's really hard to know what's clods, what's rocks, but I think we'll call these ones rocks. Alright, rock picking sucks. I knew that. I didn't get all the rocks, but I got a fair few. Not a fair few. I got a few. Be less to dodge with the header. It's just starting to get dark and a bit hard to see. Anyway, lovely evening. Here's a beautiful place where we work, that's for sure. Alright, it's 5 o'clock. I just filled up the fuel cart. It is very cold outside and very windy. But we're heading out north. We're gonna try and get the last, well, there's still, I don't know, a couple of hectares in the paddock that we're on, and then another 66 in the next paddock. We're gonna try and get it all done because it's gonna rain, start raining about, I don't know, they're forecasting 10 o'clock or something like that. But wait and see, I guess. Try and get as much done as we can before it gets too wet.
That's where, like, a lot of men want to have confidence.
It's cold. It's very cold. Don't think you can see it, but that out there is part of the reason why we're rushing to get done before this rain. Maybe you'll see it when we go through. Oh yeah, that is soup. I didn't nearly get bogged, but it was very, very soft, and a lot of this heavy dirt's like it. I've never seen it like this at this time of year. I think it's because of the late wet finish last year. It's just continued on. The profile's already full, and the rain that we've had's just filled it up again already. So if we get a spring that comes through, geez, it'll be wet. It will be wet. Anyway, wait and see. This paddock's all done. Once I get over to there, fold up and go to the next one. So this paddock here is green as green. There is a lot of weeds on here, a lot of brome grass, bit of silvergrass, bit of ryegrass, bit of volunteer barley from 2 years ago. But there's just so much grass pressure on here. We double knocked it, so round up first and then come back with gramoxane. All pretty close to when we're going to seed it, so you can't see that it's dying off. But we were worried about how wet it would be in the flats. Well, I can tell you that flat down there, it'll be fine because there's grass to carry us over. This first pass has gone really well. Would you look at this? What are the chances? That's a stump with a hole in the middle and it got stuck on the tine. Amazing. Oh, it's nice to line up on the spray tracks. Doesn't happen very often. I started on the spraying AB line, and I think it's one spray track that you miss, the next spray track that you miss, and then the one after that you get. So 1 in 3. That's not very good. Anyway, still going here. It is odd sowing into a paddock that's so green. We don't do it very often with this much grass around. Anyway, it should die. We sprayed enough chemical on there that it should die. The grass, the crop should grow. But we're I don't know, 2/3 I guess you'd say. Call it 2/3. Something like that. Looks like there's some rain coming, but it's not here yet. Yeah, we are 2/3 because that's at 43 and there's 66 in here. Village look at that flag back there. She's having a fair old go. Not spending much time down. Anyway, we're getting it done. We haven't got too much left. So over to that fence just there. We're on another pass here. So yes, I've done 3 sprayer widths to get to here. You can kind of keep track of it. Yeah. Still got enough fertiliser. That should make it to the end. And our seed, oh, I hope it makes it. It'll be close, but we'll see. Anyway, up this big hill we go. I say a big hill. It's the biggest hill that we farm, the biggest paddock that the biggest hill in a paddock that we actually work. There's some people around that have some massive hills though. We're very lucky. We've got a very flat block here, and back at home's much the same. The rain's coming. The clouds are getting closer. I reckon we're probably 5 minutes out from a shower. But wait and see. What's the time? 2:04. Well, there's a few little spots on the window, and it's been doing that for a while, but they've been drying off. It is 2:52, so my guess of 5 minutes at 2:04 was well off. Anyway, it's good though for the paddock, because it looks like we might get done before we get too much rain. Still very windy out there. That flag is in full motion, but our barley is running low. Our fertiliser's going to make it, which is good. Yeah, very low on barley. I think we'll have to put a bit more in, but we'll see. Well, I've decided I need some more. We've only got one pass down the edge and tiny little bit of headlands up to about halfway to do, but we're just not going to have enough to make it. We really only need a bag full or a bucket full, really. Still very dusty in there, but we got some in. More than we needed, but didn't want to run out. You'll see to the boundary there, that little black and blue line, we're actually missing a bit. So it's not a very big bit, but to run out the barley, I'll come back along there and trickle it out along the fence, I think. So this is it. We're nearly finished the barley sowing. Here we go, the last little bit. Looks like the rain is coming on the horizon. Not that you can probably see that. The barley is running out on that side, which is good news because we're only sowing on that side. Yeah, it's working out pretty well. When we were putting the more barley in, I stopped Dad at one stage and said that'll be enough. Then I thought, nah, I better put some more in. I'm glad I put some more in. I don't think I would have had enough for the first amount. Anyway, it's good. I'll be glad when this is over. All done. All done for barley. That's very good. Very anticlimactical, but good that it's done. Just got it turned on with the bar up. We're just running out the last of the barley. Get it out of the box. The next job, or the last job, is lucerne. We've got one paddock of lucerne over there to sow. I got to spray a knockdown on it. Well, maybe next week, but I think it'll be too wet. Yeah, then we'll get into it. But as far as crop that we're going to harvest, that's all of it done for this year, which is very exciting. Very thankful. It's gone pretty well, really. I can't complain. It's just gone a bit longer than what I would have wanted, but it's due to a few things out of our control. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching along the journey. I appreciate your support. You have made it through to the end of this video, so you've shown that you're a true supporter. Yeah. See ya in the next one.